So thank you for coming today, this morning, joining me. Today, I'm going to talk about have you outgrown your ERP system and give you a little background on myself for if you're not familiar with me. Uh, my name is David Wolf from Just Solutions. Oop, went too far. And been in the industry over 35 years. Got my start working for a very large company out of Buffalo called Spur Univac. And it's really where I learned a lot about ERP systems because it's what we sold. We sold big ass systems to big companies. I learned a lot of great processes and tools in terms of how to do that in all kinds of industries and great education. So I'm here to guide you through this. I will tell you I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks that can save you a lot of money. You can always hire a consultant. If you don't have the time to do some of the things I'm suggesting, then you may want to hire a consultant. But I'm not here professing that. I'm really kind of talking about what is an ERP system and reviewing why it may be time to change. So agenda first is, again, defining what an ERP system is. Again, we use acronyms all the time in our industry, so I want to make sure everyone has one. You have every industry has them. Every different business has it, and we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about what the essential benefits are of an ERP system. And when I say benefits, I mean maybe not what it's doing today for you, but what a new system could do for you as well. What's the process to assess your needs? How do you go through and kind of figure out what you should be doing for your systems? What's the way to compare systems since they're all so different and the vendors all make promises to you? How are you going to go through the test drives or demos to really compare and contrast the systems? And then I've been involved in a lot of migrations. So I help you figure out a migration plan and how that process should look and kind of tell you the good, bad, and ugly of a migration plan that I think a lot of vendors sugarcoat things. So again, vendor may not like the way I'm presenting this, but I'm doing it from the perspective of being an IT person involved in the process, helping a customer move to a new ERP system, and kind of been through it so many times through all kinds of good, bad, and ugly that I have a lot to share on this. And then any questions and answers, I'll be happy to try to answer your questions. If not, I'll do some research and try to find an answer or point you in the right direction. So first things first, what is an ERP system? I went out and grabbed lots of different slides I could find on the internet. I Googled it to see how would I approach this. So your accounting system is part of your ERP system. Your CRM, your customer relationship management. Maybe you use a Act or Zoro or some program, Salesforce, for managing your prospects and prospecting. Maybe you have an HR program, Abra, or you do something. Maybe your HR program's a website you go through from your payroll company, and it manages your HR and your payroll and your time entries. Maybe you have field service, trucks on the road, tablets, field automation. If you're a distributor manufacturer, I'm sure you have some kind of procurement and sourcing and dealing with that. Purchase orders, receiving, shipping, you name it. Supply chain management. Maybe you do some manufacturing. Maybe you're a job shop. Maybe you build goods to ship. Maybe you build to order. Maybe you build to stock. Whatever your environment might be. Maybe you're more of a distributor. You bring in product or you assemble things. You bring in different products, put them together, and sell them as a packaged item. Finance, that's all your accounting, your banking, your credit card processing, you name it. And then sales, obviously, what do you do for quoting? How do you do your estimating? How do you manage all that process? So this is just one little pinwheel to give you an idea of what encompasses an enterprise resource planning system, ERP. Well, here's another version of it. This may be more of what you do. Maybe you do finance, you have dashboards, you want to see what's a dashboard. Well, a dashboard taking its cue from cars and automobiles. Dashboard shows you your fuel level, your temperature, your oil temperature, your battery level. It shows you what gear you're in, how fast you're going. A dashboard is something that's going to provide you quick information about where you're at in your business, how old your aging is, who's your biggest orders, your slowest payers, your biggest bills you have to pay. So a dashboard can provide a quick view of how your business is operating. You'll hear terms like KPI, key performance indicators. Well, dashboard will show you, how many open service tickets you have, how many projects you have going, what your backlog is, what you have for quotes out in the field, what you can project or forecast for sales and quotes. So you name it, every business has a different version of this. Lawyers is talking about, billable hours, but maybe the hours you've accumulated that haven't been invoiced yet. That could be an inventory of how much you actually have in the queue, what's going to be billing at the end of the month, how people are doing on their billable hours. CPAs, you process tax returns every year. If you do an average of 1,000, how many have you done so far this year? Where are you at? You were on track? You ahead of last year? Behind last year? That could be a dashboard or KPI. Finance, your typical balance sheet, P&L, but maybe you want to get profitability information down from a client at a client level or a project level. Maybe you want to see, how you doing in terms of profitability on a particular project. Of course, purchasing is such a huge problem today. Sourcing things, supply chain issues, delivery issues, tracking things, informing customers of that. How's your system handling that? So what I'm trying to generate is ERP covers all of this. And now essentially the goal of a system is not to have islands of information, not to have a separate sales force doing your sales and marketing and your sales tracking, and not to have a separate time and billing system and have a separate accounting system and a separate manufacturing system. Things come together into an integrated solution to give you a single pane of glass dashboard to look at. Here's another view. So these are all different versions. And the reason I throw them up is they integrate different things. All of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, Internet of Things. That's part of ERP now is dealing with the fact that we have all these other items that are connecting to the network and that we have to monitor and maintain. Business intelligence is a big buzzword, using Power BI. Power BI stands for business intelligence, and Power BI is something Microsoft's pushing and a lot of companies are pushing. Big data analytics. You got all this data, so now you want to process that data and look for patterns and opportunities and see where there are holes in your product line or things you could be doing more for your clients and customers. So all these things tie together. So when you look at this, there is no right or wrong level. Some people say there's 13 different modules for ERP. I don't buy into that. I think that every business is different, although a lot of the processes are the same. So I just want you to realize when we're talking about ERP, everything on these lists that I'm generating is part of the process. And today, the goal is making it easier, integrated, seamless, single dashboard. So you're really driving the business and driving your growth with good information, not out of date information. How many people still get their P&L and it's a month old? How many people are, getting agent reports from last month? How far behind are you in knowing where you're at in in some of your reporting, or are you able to look at a dashboard and know immediately that you're on track, off track for your KPI for the month? Are your marketing team and sales team putting out enough proposals? Are you filling the funnel? What do you've got for backlog for your manufacturing? How are you doing in production? I was talking to a customer recently, and they told me they have a couple month backlog in one department. Well, is that causing problems and a ripple effect? So do you need to fix that and help that one department, even with temporary help, to get that backlog resolved so you keep hitting your numbers? So that's why this enterprise, and I don't want to use the term enterprise like a lot of people do and think Fortune 1000. I want to think of Unfortunate 1 million. I want to think of all of us have an enterprise, all of us have a business. And I've worked really hard at Just Solutions here to try to integrate all these things, to have automated for our credit card processing and the posting of that information and the updating of the service tickets and the billing and the contracts. And, we have people that have Microsoft Office 365 agreements. You add a license that gets integrated to our billing system so we can make sure you get billed for that, because we're getting billed from Microsoft. We want to make sure that passes through. So all those touch points, all those integrations are becoming more and more important. And just looking at our tool set today, and it blows my mind how many different pieces and moving parts there are that all make up our system today. So every business is like that. So that's what an ERP system is. Let's talk about the benefits. You may not be achieving these benefits. This is why you'd want to switch. If any of these resonate with you and saying, we don't really have a good handle on these things. If we don't really have our customer service can't answer questions quickly. We can't find the status of an order. We can't track an order. We can't see where it is in the production. We can't give our customers a portal to go to pay their bills or to look at the status of the order. You think about how much automation we take for granted now when we place an order with Amazon. And we can track the order and we get text alerts that it's shipped and it's tracking, and here's the tracking number. Look at Domino's Pizza. You can track your pizza being built in the oven out for delivery. I mean, I know it sounds funny, but companies are taking advantage of technology, and in some ways they're making it a competitive advantage, and they're selling that tech. Think about the online ordering, what that did for people for COVID, and how many restaurants and small businesses had to adapt to text messaging and online order taking, very quickly. So this whole work from home and pandemic has forced a lot of these things to the forefront. So a lot of people have systems that just aren't keeping up. And that's a real good reason to be looking at replacing your system, is your system can't keep up with the growth and it's becoming a bottleneck. It's slowing you down. How long does it take to get your bills out? How are you doing with security and regulation? Is your stuff encrypted? Is it protected? I mean, do you really know that your information is safe and secure from hackers yourself? This becomes a point that could put you out of business if you got hacked. Businesses are shutting down. Police departments shut down. Towns, libraries, airports, public transit, pipelines. You name it, they have been shut down for days and weeks sometimes because they don't have a modern system really running the business. And a modern system is going to have redundancy. It's going to have all that built into it from the ground up. So here are the benefits, and I kind of made them more of a bullet thing for you, but there are so many benefits of the newer systems that's why the next step is the key step. So let's talk about needs analysis. So the first thing I want to do is, when you're talking about switching, we know it's painful. I know moving to a new ERP system, I know upgrading an ERP system or integrating isn't easy. I get that. But the place to start is with what's working. Make a list, use a spreadsheet. What you don't want to do is take a step 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You want to make sure that the things that are working and are working well don't get lost in translation, that don't get lost in transition, that when you move to your new system, that things you thought would be there are still there. Like, don't take for granted some of the features and functions you have. You will be surprised how many new systems don't have shortcuts, or the process is longer, or the data entry is longer or slower, and you have to kind of relearn that process. So look at how you're doing things and make sure you're not losing any of the features and functions. So you've got to make a list of what works, what you're really happy with, what you can't lose. Add that to your list. So I talk about using a spreadsheet for this needs analysis, because that's what you pay a high price consultant to come in to do. When they do a needs analysis, they don't know your business better than you. I mean, let's stop right there. Does a consultant that comes in, maybe they have industry experience, maybe they even worked in your industry, but they don't know your business inside and out like you do. So what they're going to be is your coach. They're going to be guiding you through doing this needs analysis. So I'm telling you exactly the steps the consultant would take, and that's fine. You don't have the time, the bandwidth to do it, hire a consultant. But let's be realistic that what you're asking them to do is exactly this, is making a needs analysis list of everything that's working, what's missing. So what they're going to do is they're going to discuss and interview key stakeholders. They're going to map your current processes, hopefully. I remember doing a huge product for a manufacturing company back in the 90s, 80s. Yeah, I'm dating myself. Where we literally took craft paper and took a conference room, and they put this 5-inch wide craft paper all the way around the room. And then we got all the documents, every document the company used, because they had picking slips paper, they had delivery slips paper, they had invoices paper, sales orders paper. So I know I'm dating myself, because we're taking from paper to automation and now we're talking automation to automation. But we literally mapped the whole process, and we're able to flush out all the duplicate data and duplicate entries. So when we build a database and we automated them, we were able to build in more and more efficiencies. So mapping your current processes is a smart way to find, where are you making double entries? Where are you doing things twice? Where are you storing data twice? Look at where your bottlenecks are. Is billing a bottleneck? Is getting the time entries in and out a bottleneck? Where are you having, and I mentioned it earlier, the duplication of data. Now, people say, well, is your CRM system duplicating your customers and prospects? And then you have that also in your accounting system. Then you also have that in your service system, or is it sharing this information transparently across all your systems? And then really, this is key. What's missing? Where are your bottlenecks? Identifying things. An outside consultant only gets this information by interviewing you and by drilling you. So if you don't have someone that can do this, then hire someone. It's not a bad idea, right? I mean, it's not a bad idea to have someone coach you through this process. That intermediary, that objective person's viewpoint will ask you some good questions, because they won't understand your lingo, and will ask you to say, well, why does it go here first? What happens when you get a return? Who handles that? You name it. Then you add your wish list. Wish versus needs. Wishes are things you can't even imagine. Like, boy, it would be great if I could look on a map. I could be looking and seeing where my techs are. I could see what they're working on. I could have pictures of my deliveries. I'll give you an example. I had a client that got a delivery system set up because they were having a problem with taking material to jobs and material disappearing, or customers saying, I never got this, yet they know they delivered it. So now they got pictures of the delivery being dropped off. There it is. It's stored. It's saved. They got proof that they actually dropped off what they said they dropped off. And if someone came along the job site and stole it, it's no longer the customer's not eating that. So when you think about wishes versus needs are obviously are very important. You have to have wishes or kind of things that you could like, boy, I would love it if we could do this. And I would love it if I could push a button and get this report or see this or know this status, that kind of thing. So those are your wish lists, and they need to get put on the spreadsheet too. So we're done. We're building a pretty big ass spreadsheet. You may want to do tabs by department. You might want to be doing tabs by function, but you're going to build your wish lists. And the reason I say that is because needs you have to have in there. Wishes are going to be things that the salespeople are going to be telling you about all the wishes and all the cool things. They'll tell you all the sizzle and all the new stuff that the new system has, but you got to make sure it covers your basic needs. And then you have to identify the must-haves. These I call our deal breakers. If you track serial numbers, you have to have a system that can track it for you. If you need lot numbering, if you need to track things by batches, if you have, you know, have a lot of documents that you need attached and collated and put together with a project, and you have to have change control, and you've got to have a way to manage versions and add-ons and modifications to an order. Identify your must-haves or your deal breakers, because that's the easiest way to eliminate a package. Also, it helps the vendor make sure they're addressing them. And sometimes they may say, well, we can address this by using a third-party app, or we can address this by doing a modification. That's not a bad thing. That's okay, but you identified it, and you're not getting into this expensive new system that 6 months, a year later, you're finding out it can't do everything the way you really need it to be done. That's the biggest problem with making this change. This is not a quick and painless process. This should be a very slow and thoughtful process. So how do we compare systems? Well, that spreadsheet, that needs analysis step can't be skipped. It can't be rushed. That is very key. Now let's start comparing systems. The first thing you need to do, and I don't recommend this being a decision that the software company makes. I think you need to really take hold of your current position and whether you want to be premise or cloud-based. When I say cloud-based, that's hosted in the cloud. There are such things as hybrid systems, and I can explain that. Hybrid is a combination of systems that are running locally and systems that are cloud. That's probably more common today than anything. But when you're talking about an ERP system, there are some real technical issues with, if you're very scan heavy, barcode heavy, mobile heavy, being premise based versus cloud, and what your infrastructure has to have. So first thing is really think about this. What's your current hardware, infrastructure, storage? Are you going to have to make changes there? Is that going to be too expensive? If moving to the cloud hosted going to save you money because you don't have to invest in hardware and infrastructure and storage that you're constantly chasing? You're growing, you're adding. I have a client that literally adds almost a terabyte of photos and documents every year. That becomes pretty hard to manage premise based. It becomes a lot easier to manage in a cloud environment, which is more dynamic and scalable. So their costs go up incrementally, but it's not big chunks of capital investment for more storage and hardware. So your internet connection speed, your redundancy, your dependability. We just had a quick blip with Amazon this week. I don't know if any of you were affected by it, but Amazon had an outage. Companies were affected, businesses were affected. Ironically, we have premise-based systems that were affected because our sign-on was cloud-based, single sign-on. So what did we do? We turned off the single sign-in so you can log in locally. But it's interesting how things are integrated and working together. So I added SD-WAN, that's new term. I have a video on that. I have a blog on that. I don't think I did the video yet. We do have training class coming on SD-WAN in January, but it's a new term. And basically, it's a great way to have redundant connections to all these systems that are in the cloud. So you aren't down and you aren't saying, well, I wish I had it premise based. It will give you the ability to have multiple connections to the internet, redundancy. So we'll talk about that more. But so premise and cloud, some software systems are available both. Some do support hybrid. I had a fantastic system I found when I had the Verizon stores that was a combination of cloud and premise based. So literally it had all the point of sale running locally, but it's synchronized to the cloud, and all the stores inventory and all the sales data was synced between the two stores. And you could go to any store and we could see the order, see the information. It was a wonderful system. And that was very early on, many years ago, but it was a very slick system that was both cloud and premise based. So it was a hybrid system. What are the licensing model? Are you paying per user? Are you buying software by module? What is the pricing? That's very important, so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and as you scale, what your costs will be. A lot of us MSPs in this industry were promised things from some of the early providers for the software we started, and all of a sudden we had price creep. All of a sudden our cost per user went up, our cost per end user, endpoint, or device went up. We had a lot of creep in terms of our licensing costs because things weren't locked in, or we didn't know what the pricing models be or what the conditions of the increases would be. So the more you know about the licensing model from the vendor, the better. Maintenance fee, another expensive cost. And I say maintenance because part of the licensing piece is then the maintenance. So here's what our industry does. You may pay a licensing thing, but now you got to pay for the updates and the new versions of that software. So those are maintenance fees. I still haven't talked about support fees yet. I'm just talking about the maintenance, so you don't fall behind. And you gotta work this in. If you think you're going to buy something and not pay for maintenance, that's not going to work. You will literally put yourself into a path to obsolescence, especially with the way the new software and new systems work. You will literally get aged out of a program if you don't maintain it with the maintenance fees. Support fees are just that. Can you call and get help on using it? How do I, not necessarily in the maintenance. This is, well, I've got a new situation and I want to set this up, but I got a new client, new product, new service, new whatever, and I want to figure out how to get it working in the billing system or the ERP system, whatever. So support is helping you with your running the software. What's the cost for that? Are you having a problem accessing the hosting environment? Are you having a problem accessing the software, getting an error message? Those aren't covered by a licensing model, and those aren't covered by a maintenance fee. By the way, support and maintenance, I think, should never exceed 20% of the licensing fee. That means every 5 years, you will have essentially replaced your system and be on the latest, newest system. Nothing should age out. You don't want to have 5-year-old software from now. It wouldn't be addressing half the issues with HR. It wouldn't be half the changes with payroll or taxes or you name it. You think of the model, things will have changed by them. It wouldn't be handling dealing with work from home and all those kinds of things we're dealing with today. Then you have implementation fees. These are typically one-time fees, but they can be 1 to 2 times the price of the software. You spend $100,000 on software, you could spend $200,000 on implementation. I kid you not. I'm throwing out some big numbers, but I want you to get proportional idea that I'm telling you things that are very hard to get out of these salespeople until they're getting you to sign the contract. Very hard to compare this stuff because they're all pretty good with this. I really do like the new licensing models some of the companies are coming out with, where you pay a per seat price and it includes it all. It includes the support, includes the maintenance, includes the license. The problem is if when they decide to jack up your licensing fee by 10%, everything goes up 10%. So, it's good and bad, but I do like predictable pricing models better than the unforeseen whopper of an expense. All these comparison systems to me would be on my spreadsheet. I will literally put all the costs in the left column and the systems across the top and fill that in. And that becomes part of that same spreadsheet I'm using that has my needs assessment and doing my comparison systems. So I can convert it and say, okay, well, this company is charging me this per the software. What you can do is you can convert things to a 5-year total cost of ownership TCO model. You'll hear these terms, but you can kind of figure out what is my cost over 5 years or 10 years. 5 years is probably the shortest you should run. I don't know of anyone that switches an ERP system every 5 years. I think the most frequent I've ever recommended or seen done is pretty much every 10 years. I think your business, if it's growing, will outgrow a system in 10 years. If you're stagnant and staying the same, then you'll just be missing out on some new features and functionality. I remember systems that didn't have a fax field. Then I remembered systems that didn't have for a fax number. Then I remember systems that didn't have an email address. And then it had an email address per person, per department. Let's be able to even email or fax invoices. All those became successions in features and functions in ERP systems. Just those two examples of faxing becoming a function, and then at some point emailing. And then, why did we fax? Because by not mailing the invoice, we were saving 40 cents or 25 cents in postage per invoice. Why did we get rid of faxing? Well, because we could email for free and we didn't even have to pay for phone calls or faxing and paying for a faxing model, which was a per page model, that kind of thing. So the other next big expense, one-time fee, is data migration. This is a one-time expense, and I'll talk about that and what you can and cannot migrate. And here's the last one, which no one even mentions, no one even talks about, but I thought about it because I ran into it at an account, and this is the one that no one ever talks about. You gotta get this up front and documented, and I call it uncoupling fee. I don't know if that's the term. I made it up, whatever. I thought of trains uncoupling the cars from the train, but this is also, I'll give you another analogy. This is your prenup. You're getting married to this enterprise ERP system, this software company, and what happens when you get a divorce? How do you get your data back? Is your data in the cloud? Are they going to charge you? I had a customer who's paying every month for data being stored at a data center. Never once thought that their QuickBooks data would be held hostage when they decided to cancel the service with the company. And they said, okay, we'd like our backup of our data back. Okay, well, it's going to cost you a couple $1,000s. Like, what? It's my data. That's okay, but we'll put it on a hard drive or a USB drive, and we'll ship it to you, drop it off, but it's going to cost you this much money. Well, okay, fine, we'll pay that, but we want a full image of the system. We want everything so we can recreate it. No, we're just going to give you the data. Wait a minute. We want the QuickBooks. We want everything with our file, folder structure, everything. No, we'll just back it up all for you and hand it to you, and then you can, reinstall your apps and restore your data. They literally made the process of leaving them. Obviously, they weren't getting us back as a customer after that experience, but they definitely had us by the cojones and had to pay the fees, and we had no choice, or the customer did. And so I really decided at that point, boy, this has to be asked up front. You want this in the contract. If we leave you, what's it cost to get our data back? Oh, it's free. Well, then put it in the contract. Put it in writing that it's not going to cost us anything to get our data out of your system, and that you'll provide to us on a USB drive, and you'll Federal Express it to us within 24 hours and not take a week to get our damn data back. So get it in writing. If you're going to be in a hosted environment, or if you're going to be in their system and their data, how do you get your data out of it if you decide to leave them down the road? So do not think that's covered by a hosting agreement. In fact, the hosting agreement normally say it'll be all T&M, time and material billing. Well, what rate? $250 an hour, $500 an hour. Who the hell knows? But if you don't decide the uncoupling fee, your divorce is going to be super expensive. The master spreadsheet. I'm not kidding. This spreadsheet that whether you hire a consultant to do it or you do it internally, this is your list of all your needs, your must-haves, your wish lists. And then a lot of the consultants like to weight it. Like, how important is it? Do you want to put a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10, whatever? Do you want to put some kind of 1 to 100? Do you want to have a weighted importance of it? So you're not saying no to a package because it doesn't have something on your wish list, but it's a 1 value. It's not really that important, but it's a wish. So, binary yes, no is not always a great approach to doing your analysis. You may want to have a weighted list, and a spreadsheet's going to help you with that. It also allows you to compare the fees. And I really do recommend in some cases you use a consultant that one knows your industry, has done it for other clients. You can talk to their reference and see how they approach it, and they can kind of be involved in your coaching this process through from start to finish. And then the other nice thing is you can have, if you do the tabbed idea with the spreadsheets, if you've tabbed by department, then each department, when they're seeing the demo of their, sales are seeing their demo, and of marketing, and manufacturing seeing their demos, and, each person seeing it, they can be doing the checklist in their spreadsheet during the demos to make sure nothing's being missed. Oh, can you show me how this works? Or you can show me how this looks, or how I would do this in your system. It becomes a really nice tool that you can divide and conquer. And with today's collaboration tools between Microsoft 365 and Google, these spreadsheets can be shared and modified and worked on collaboratively. And it becomes a really phenomenal tool for you to do this. And this is what you spend big bucks for a consultant to do. That's the process. So let's talk about the timeline. Well, what is the timeline? Your time estimate will be way off. Every single project has taken, what is the old adage, twice as long and twice as much as they estimated. Your time estimate will be way off, because I equate this ERP migration to be changing the tires on a moving bus. You're running your business at the same time you're trying to improve your process and your operations. So I estimate 3 to 6 months just to compare and demo software. I've seen it take a year. But if you're consistent, you set up monthly goals to meet and to make sure you get this done, you can get through your comparison and your of the software and the demo software in 3 to 6 months. That might be aggressive for you. I want you to grasp the idea that it's not a quick process. If you do it faster than this, then you're missing things. I can promise you're overlooking steps, and you're not looking at the full big picture, because every business, as similar they have their differences and nuances. And so you really want to identify those things. So this 3 to 6 months is you building your comparative spreadsheet, your wish list, your needs list. Every time you see a demo, you may get new ideas, and they may show you something that you want to make sure that becomes a must-have, or gets put on your wish list, and then you weight it differently. So this is a learning process. So you don't want to take this lightly. And like I said, I've had customers take a year or two to decide this, and that's okay. 6 months to a year to implement. That's an aggressive schedule. Why? You're running the business same time you're doing it. Plus, you're depending upon other third-party people to migrate your data, convert your data, check your data. It's very hard to run parallel systems, but you're going to build a parallel system. What I mean by that is you're going to set up this new system in the cloud, on a new server, on a new VM, whatever it's going to be. You're going to build this and do your testing and learning and training on that system, right up to the point where you do your go live, which is to flip the switch, because you pull your last transactions over from your old system. But you're going to literally build a system and go through the process and work through it. And you're talking good 6 months to a year. Your second year is where you really, I mean, it sounds crazy, but you literally don't get your efficiencies and your process improvements and cost reductions till your second year. Um, it takes time to work all the benefits into the system to take advantage. You're just trying to get your bills out, get your invoices out, get your inventory right, get your general ledger balance, get your payables in sync. You're just trying to get all your basic functions going that in the first year, that your second year is really where you start to see your efficiencies. Now you can be having your meetings and talking about the KPIs and the dashboards and the reporting and really starting to see all the benefits. You'll get some immediate hits. I'm not trying to say that that's not going to happen, but I'm trying to temper your expectations to be more realistic, because if you don't temper the expectations of you, your management, and then your team, you'll get a lot of frustrated users. One of the most immediate things should be hopefully expediency. Systems should be faster. There should be better information quicker, and there should be a lot of gaps being filled quicker. But integration isn't easy, and I just want to be the first one to tell you that you're talking second year to really see the efficiencies, process improvements, and cost reductions. I think developing SOPs in advance save time. If you haven't, or if you don't have them, I think knowing your process, looking at your processes, or figuring out those duplicate effort, duplicate data, SOPs really will help you, because then the system will have ways to do things, and you can say, boy, let's adopt that SOP. Let's adopt the systems process. So learning the new system and learning how to do that means you're not automatically forcing the system to do it your way. You're also learning how the system does things and how it may introduce some efficiencies for you. I've had people for years and years say they hate quoting systems. Well, if you got a great quoting system, you got a good configurator, and you're doing that at the sales process, it's going to end up saving you time in your production, in your project, in your costing. Everything will flow through better if you're quoting in your order entry, or sales configurator, your production system up front is better. It will save so much time and effort down the road, to the point where you can see where everything is and see the profitability right through and see when things are getting off track. So SOPs in advance save a lot of time, and they also help you make sure that you know how to match up those SOPs to your new system. And the other thing that I highly recommend is forget the monthly meeting. That's just not enough. You got to do weekly meetings, by department, by team. Monthly meeting it will eventually happen as a management thing, but you want to have an action items list and an issues list that you're working through weekly. And this is very important, that you have buy-in from everyone. Management cannot be out of this process. It can't be a delegation or abdication. It's got to be a true delegated combined team effort. But that's how that timeline is going to look. The last thing is data migration, and then we'll be open for Q&A. The last thing is your data migration. The process is different from system to system. I get that, but typically you only are going to be able to migrate and move over master files, like master records, like your customers, vendors, inventory. Systems are too different for you to actually bring over a bill of materials. You're going to probably, be creating those. Depends. I mean, everything does depend from system to system, but you may find that you want to leave the bad behind and do a clean, fresher approach with the new system. So you might want to do your cleaning of records, flagging of inactive prior to migration, so you're not bringing over bad data. You might want to take old items and put a Z in front of them, so you don't migrate the Z items. You may want to not migrate old information. So cleaning records or flagging things inactive prior to migration is a great idea, and that's an effort that can start even prior to, I know it sounds interesting, but it can even prior to your new system, you can be doing some purging and cleansing. We keep too much around, too old stuff around, and you don't want to bring the bad data and old data into your new system. Most common with data migration is your open AR, your open payables, receivables, general ledger, creating your new journal entries, your automated journal entries, setting up your payroll integration. Those, a lot of that time, that data is not imported. There's a cost to importing. And if you have less than, I forget what the number of records, maybe it's 1,000 data points or whatever, it's not worth integrating or migrating. If you have 50,000 open invoices, well, then you're probably going to want to have them put into a, maybe built into a spreadsheet and then imported after they're cleaned. So depending upon the system, the software company is going to tell you, they're going to have a plan, and they're going to tell you, well, we don't migrate this, but we do migrate that. Or if you want us to migrate something, then and we don't have the same field alignment, that you're going to want to build a spreadsheet for that and populate the data, and then we'll import the data. Also, this data migration is the time to really review your chartered accounts, review your GL mapping, work with your CPA, your finance department, and say, hey, is there anything we can do better, different? Do we want to look at profit centers differently? Do we want to look at any of those things? Now's the time to think about what you might do there, and then think about any custom reports and report requirements. Those are part of your needs list and wish list, but don't assume the reports are the same from system to system. You may have a report you love right now that does not exist in the new system. And you're like, hey, how does this new system not have this great report that I had before? Well, that great report might have been a great idea that someone had that no one else knew about, and that system doesn't have it. Your new system doesn't have it. So you may need custom reports or custom forms built for you. So don't be surprised that that's part of the process. So I've watched and worked through customers going through this. We as the IT team will help you with making sure system requirements, printer, labels, barcoding, you name it, credit card integration. We'll help with a lot of those integration pieces and stuff like that. But the day-to-day operations, your sales order, purchasing, your receiving, shipping, manufacturing, job shop, you name it, all those processes and things are very customer specific. And regardless, you have to peel back the layers of this onion and work with the software company, and don't be afraid to do multiple demos. You may see one demo, but you're going to come back and see more. There's nothing wrong with seeing a additional demo or breaking it up into multiple sessions because of overload. So an ERP system really can make or break your business. It can really position you for growth. It can position you to add new services or add new products. This is something that can really be a competitive advantage, and really build your, when you read about business intelligence or Power BI, all those systems are trying to pull data and information from the separate systems and help you come back and end up with these nice dashboards and KPIs to run your business. So this is absolutely the best time to be looking at this and doing this, because there's been so much improvement in the systems and the technology, and that you'll be able to take advantage of texting alerts and text updates and SMS messaging and email integration and customer portals and online ordering, that you can, every business can benefit from providing information to their customers 24/7, so they can do their work at their convenience. You may not be taking orders at 5 p.m., but doesn't mean your clients aren't sitting, that have been working all day out in the field, aren't sitting down at night wanting to do work at night and want to interact with you. So don't think that you can't be 24/7 like an Amazon or any other company, Lowe's, Home Depot. If you look at what they've done, if you look at the companies that really embrace technology, there's some companies that really prospered during COVID because they weren't afraid to throw technology at helping them have interaction with the customers 24/7 and not 9 to 5. So let me open up the questions and answers and find the windows for those. I know we got some Zoom controls. Where are they here? So if you have any questions, can JSS help us during or after ERP switch? Absolutely. We would help you at all stages. I love to be part of that. It's kind of one of the things I really do enjoy doing. And our team can help you compare system requirements. Like, what if I do get this package, they're telling me, I got an example. I had a customer switch to a system and they were told by the vendor that, oh, your PCs are going to be fine. Well, when they moved over the system, all of a sudden the PCs weren't fine. They were taking too long to print. They were taking too long to process PDFs, open things. It was, great that they were hosted and they had that benefit, but their workstations just sucked. So yeah, we can help you avoid some problems and definitely help you with the transition. Again, we work with partner companies. We work with, if you're using Sage or Epicor or Infor or whoever the company is, we're going to help you from your IT perspective and kind of be your go-to from kind of digesting all those requirements they have, or kind of ask some tough questions about them, about where things reside or how things are going to work or how we put things together. But there are a lot of systems that were written 20 years ago that don't use current SQL technology, that don't have the seamless integrations to the newer technology of dashboards, and even some of the new systems, how well they work with Excel and other tools, how they integrate with them. So a lot of new technology and features that you can gain in efficiencies with the newer systems. Any other questions? If you'd like to have a one-on-one to talk about your situation, I'm happy to do that. And once you'll be getting some emails from us. We have partnered with a ERP systems provider, a company called Net at Work. They're nationwide, and the reason we partnered with them is they put together actually a great MSP program for us, but they don't have just one tool, one product that they sell. They represent Sage and Salesforce and NetSuite, and I'm forgetting half the companies, and so many other packages that they're coming in and saying, let's figure out what you need, and then let's look at the right solution that fits your need. But they have specialists in every type of industry to help you. And I just felt that our customers needed help with ERP systems. And instead of us just sitting on the sidelines, we thought we'd find a partner that we could work through and bring people to that can actually help you navigate this. And we don't really care what's industry you are. We just helped a client that was a chiropractor. One of our clients is a chiropractor. We helped them evaluate the different packages out there. And then when we narrowed it down to the one we liked, we evaluated all their system requirements, and then we were involved in the implementation of it. And we helped that customer migrate from one chiropractic care package that they used for 10 years to a new one, which is better, newer, and serving their needs better. But we helped along that whole process with them. And so we can help regardless of what industry you are. And our team does like doing these kinds of projects with you. So we can help you kind of prevent having issues and make sure that what they're telling you makes sense and what they're telling you need for systems makes sense, and kind of even helping you review the numbers and ask those other questions. So yes, please involve us. We'd be happy to help that. At this point, we're at the top of the hour. If there are any other questions, great. You can email me. Let me throw up the slide with my contact information. You can email me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, call here, whatever. I'm happy to work with you on evaluating, looking what you have, and helping you evaluate the packages and do that. I kind of consider that my role as a VCIO or your virtual chief information officer, your IT manager, however you think of us, we kind of consider that a role that we like to do with our customers and help them through this process. It prevents a lot of grief and aggravation along the path and down the road if we're involved from the get-go. And it doesn't matter what industry you are. We've helped our customers in banking, credit union that switched packages to a different platform. We help them do the migrations and evaluate the package and ask all the right security questions to help them with that migration. So you name it, we'll help you with it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And again, email me if you have any questions and if you'd like to get together on a one-on-one. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day and a rest of the week.